Room 237 is a JumperScape audio production. There's more beyond the door than you are prepared for, stranger. Welcome to Room 237.
Hello and welcome back into room T237.
T37.
I haven't podcasted in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm back. Hello. Nice to see you guys again.
That's James.
Yeah, that's me. I'm James.
And I'm Ashton. I've been here the whole time.
So, fun day today.
Yeah.
We watched The Menu.
The Menu.
It's debatable if this is a horror movie. I would say it was definitely marketed as one. So I think it counts.
What's the argument against it? I don't understand.
Well, Netflix labeled it a comedy. It's definitely funny.
Oh, it's definitely funny. I wouldn't say comedy is not the first. It should be horror then comedy, sure. But I wouldn't label it comedy right off the bat. I don't think anything about it is specifically like funny by concept.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to label something as a comedy, it's got to be somewhat funny by concept.
It's a fancy comedy.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's directed by Mark Lloyd. I mean, I'd say it definitely falls more into thriller than horror. It's like a psychological thriller. It's like you don't know what's coming. I don't know. It is a genre transcending movie.
I really feel like it's a horror movie.
I don't think it's that simple.
I mean,
much
sure,
like The Dishes, it's not just a genre.
Lots of things aren't simple, but like there's a lot of blood, guts, and
is there though?
There's a good amount of blood.
There's blood, but not that much.
There's pig guts.
And a smoker.
Is that not horrifying?
No, I like smoked food. I use a smoker sometimes. Not that kind of smoker. That's a fancy smoke. That's a whole smokehouse. But.
Okay, but is it not horrifying to see pig spleen hanging?
No, that's just what sausage looks like in a smoker.
I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like sausage?
I don't. Okay, I don't like seeing carcass of anything either. Yeah.
I'd say,
and it's a horror
transcending movie.
It's a horrifying concept.
Yeah,
it's a horror movie.
It falls in there. This is one of those movies that I don't know. It just feels like it's its own thing, almost.
I feel like it's very much a horror movie.
I'd say
it's a more palatable horror movie, sure, but that doesn't make it not a horror movie.
Thriller.
No. If Jurassic Park is a horror movie.
Okay, fine, I'll yield.
There you go. There you go. And there it is, folks.
You just admitted that Jurassic Park's a horror movie.
God damn.
This is the trade.
I was just appealing to your logic.
Yeah. Well, this is a movie about a fancy restaurant where rich people go to eat and hijinks ensue because it's not an average day at said restaurant, I guess you could say. So the restaurant is called Hawthorn, and it is the restaurant of a celebrity chef named Chef Slowick. I feel bad because I forgot his first name, but he's played by Ralph Fiennes, and he does an amazing job. We also have Nicholas Holtz in this movie. He plays Tyler, who's a chode. And then you also have Anya Taylor-Joy as Margot. And I'd say that's your big cast. The rest of the cast is really good too, and we'll get to them. But yeah, this movie does just kind of throw you in. So I'd say just my recommendation is go see it.
It's on Netflix.
And how many servings of Tyler's bullshit out of 10 would you give this?
That was a good one. And that sounded like a really fake laugh,
Yeah.
but that was actually me really enjoying what you said. I promise.
Sure.
I'd say a good 8.5 out of 10.
8.5.
It's an enjoyable watch. It has it definitely has like a deeper meaning. There's a part of me that's like, but am I just, because of the context of the movie, when you're like, oh, the deeper meaning behind this, it's so meaningful. And then you're like, wait, is there really a deeper meaning behind this? Or am I just being like all these pricks?
I would say there's a deeper meaning.
Yeah, there's definitely a deeper
I'd say
But doesn't it make you question it a little bit though? That you're like being a prick like these people?
like overanalyzing
Yes.
film. Like
I do
You could
every
say
single
that.
day of my life.
See, that's why I try to practice not overanalyzing. I try to analyze just enough.
Marvel movies have made me overanalyze every film I've ever watched and every movie trailer I've ever watched. And now my mom does not like watching movies with me.
But why Marvel?
Because like I was so into it, and so I would always just try to like read between the lines and figure out what was going on before it was actually going on. And then I started doing that with every movie. So then my mom and I will be watching a movie and she'll be like, that guy's the best. I'm like, no, he's the worst. He's actually the villain. You just don't know it yet. And she's like, what do you mean? And then she's like, Ashton, shut up.
Have you ever been wrong?
A few times, yeah.
I just think
You watched Scream with me for the first time.
that's a good point.
I fell for every red herring. I think because I was looking too hard, to be honest. But
But yeah, I would have to agree. I'd say I'm probably gonna go more 8. It's very close to 8.5 in my brain. It's a pretty. Here's the thing. Well, yeah, the movie is intense and there's some spooky. I wouldn't say spooky is the right word. Some like horrifying situations and such. It's a really easy watch.
Mhm.
You know, it's a movie that you can sit down. I will say, if you work in the food industry, you can get kind of a sick catharsis out of the movie.
a little bit, unfortunately. A little bit, unfortunately.
I mean, it's a movie. Like, this is a ridiculous scenario. to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. I don't think this would happen. I mean, then again, Jim Jones, which I'm sure was an inspiration to a degree. But
Well, yeah, and we'll get into it more, but obviously cults are huge
oh no, yeah.
inspiration for this movie.
I believe this is an A24 movie. I don't remember seeing the logo when we were watching.
Is it A24? I thought it was a Netflix original.
No, it's not a Netflix original.
I just remembered it premiering on Netflix. And
Let me fact check that real quick.
this was 2021, right?
Yeah.
Or 2020. I remember it premiering on Netflix and everyone being super excited about it. And we were all stuck in our homes. And so we all sat.
20th Century Fox. My bad.
Wow.
I thought it was.
Does that mean it's on Disney Plus?
Well, it has kind of that. It has that vibe of like an A24 horror film. You know what I mean?
Because it's kind of avant-garde.
It's a bit avant-garde, little full of itself, if we're being honest.
But I think that
But I think that's what's the point.
it's
though.
the point.
The movie knows it's being like
Yeah. It knows.
artsy fartsy a little bit.
Yeah.
A bit like it makes that kind of idea of a elevated horror film like palatable,
Mhm.
so you can enjoy the fact that it's making fun of the fact it's artsy fartsy, if that makes sense.
Well, I feel like in making the movie palatable, it makes it, one, obviously easier to sell to people, and two, easier for someone to watch. I think
Well, the trailers will hook anybody.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because I remember the trailers being on in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And just seeing, wow, a horror movie about a restaurant that's killing its clients. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
And while the movie is fun in its own ways, it was not. The trailers made me think it was like a slasher almost. But it's not.
It's not.
It's definitely a bit avant-garde. One could say preachy. I don't agree. I think the message is actually pretty well handled.
I think it's
relevant.
Yes, exactly. I think if it's being preachy, it's on purpose. I think
this one takes eating the rich to a new level.
Yeah, for real.
There's no cannibalism in this movie.
I will say, I think though, if you have that kind of opinion that it's too preachy, you might have missed the point of the movie.
I agree.
Anyway.
So the movie starts on a dock. We kind of just get right into it.
Oh yeah.
It starts right on the dock, about to go to the restaurant, and that's where we meet Tyler and Margot. And Tyler is immediately a douche.
He is the worst.
He's treating who we think is his new girlfriend, like trash.
Correct.
And he's a big foodie, and he thinks he knows everything about fine dining and cooking as an art. And he's just basically take a snob of whatever it is you're interested in. Maybe it's you.
Maybe you're Tyler.
You're the snob.
Are you Tyler?
And just picture that, because Nicholas Hoult plays that kind of person so perfectly, to where I'm just so pissed off every time he's on screen.
Oh my gosh. And Nicholas Hoult, I think I did this when we did Nosferatu, but my God, is he a good actor?
No, yeah, he's really good.
Like, he was, when this movie came out, I didn't really know him, so I didn't really know what the rest of his work looked like. Dude is just like anything you want him to be. He literally just becomes whatever you want him to be.
He can play any brand of white dude. Literally.
Like, from the romantic love interest to this guy.
This guy. We all have this guy in our life.
I think he could play from the romantic love interest to this guy to a white guy who thinks he can say the N-word.
A thing he says early in the movie that I think really illustrates his character is when he's like, when Margot's trying to understand his interest in this, he's like, you know how a lot of people, they love musicians or athletes. Well, those people are stupid. Okay. Chefs, they play with the art of life itself. And like goes on this big pretentious rant about
this guy learned everything he knows from r/foodie.
Oh yeah.
He gives Redditor.
Oh, definitely.
That's probably
how he was found. He's probably found on Reddit. They probably found his Reddit account. That also begs the question, did he actually pay?
I don't know that he did.
Granted, it seems like they all paid at the end. Or that was how it's supposed to work at the restaurant still. But that's how he got the reservation.
He still gives the vibe of really freaking rich, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
So I don't think he needs the freebie. I mean, he got it anyway.
Like, he might be, like, we don't really know anything about what he did for a living. Like, that's not the point of his character. But he gives trust fund baby.
Yes, exactly.
You know, who never had to really work a day in his life kind of deal.
Which is why,
So yeah, he's pretty much, I would say he's the only one of the rich people that is, okay, no, there's one more, that is wholly irredeemable. I'm glad he's dead. Because, well, a lot of the ensemble cast are all like, yes, bad people. They do a good job of not making them like inhuman, you know, like they don't make them quite, they're caricatures of types of people, but they're not less than a person. Like, they're still people
with different levels and stuff.
Yes. And that's something I appreciate about this movie, because it makes it harder to just fully go, yeah, team Slowick, you know. Right. Like, I think of the elderly couple, mainly the lady.
Yeah, the lady, the guy.
The guy, he's a scumbag too.
He's a fucking he's a fucking weirdo.
I forgot about the thing he did.
Yeah.
So no, he also can die.
Yeah, he can burn in hell for all I care. Oh God, he's a weirdo.
But even when like there's a couple people whose like crimes, why they're there, you look at it and you go, that is definitely not enough. That even if I thought any of these people deserved to die, that is definitely not enough by even your logic for them to die.
Oh yeah.
Because I think of her, who's just his wife.
Yeah.
Essentially, is all I got from that is, oh yeah, and she isn't. She doesn't think about food too hard. Like,
I think the point there is that she's so rich
grateful,
she doesn't care.
Yeah. I get it. And then the one, it's like, oh, where'd you go to school? Brown, student loans. No, you're dying. It's like, okay, yeah, she's rich, but seems like
eat the rich.
More. She seemed, but it's like it's levels. These aren't CEOs,
Yeah. Although, would you see a CEO in here eventually?
Eventually. Gets it. But yeah, so they get on the boat and they have some weird oyster thing on the boat. It's not really important.
It's got algae in it.
They got algae. It's not really important. But right when you get to the island, you're like,
hold on.
Huh?
Randomly about the boat. There's these finance guys, right?
The
finance. This is our like little introduction to everybody. We got the finance tech bros. We've got the movie star and his assistant, who's really fucking trying to quit, and the food critic and the guy from the magazine who's catering to her every order, and
publicist.
Yeah, and the creepy dude and his wife, as well as they're Anya Taylor. Yeah, they're the regulars.
So they're rich. We don't know what they're rich for. We just know they're regulars. So that's.
He gives United States Senator.
Oh yeah, I could see it.
He literally started speaking at one point, and I was ready for him to be like, "I am a senator of the United States," and I was about to be like, "Ah." Wait, hold on, I didn't get to my point because I started introducing everybody. The tech bro finance guys are sitting on the boat and they're just going, "We're on a boat." Dude, we're on a boat. Like,
we're on a boat, dude.
We're on a boat, dude. Like, over and over again.
They are all essentially the same character. All three of them.
Nah, they got different. They have
different personalities, but they all serve the same character, if that makes sense.
The same archetype, yes.
Yes, like,
but they definitely come at it from different angles. I actually enjoy that they're not just like
hyper aggressive guy, you have bargaining guy, and then you have other guy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Other guy who does both.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely representing that kind of like Silicon Valley, like new rich kind of thing.
Excuse me.
New money. I guess all these people are pretty much new money if you think about it.
Except for the regulars.
The regulars are probably old money. But so yeah, they get to the island and immediately you're like, cult.
Yeah.
Because they get a nice little tour of the island. We also find out that Tyler originally had a different date. And that's where your initial inkling is, oh, this is a new relationship and it's awkwardly awkward moment because the ex was supposed to go here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm sure the reservation list is long.
Well, and you kind of, for me, when I was watching this movie, I immediately got the sense that she was not that he paid for her.
See, I didn't. That just means I fell for the twist.
He immediately, I don't even think it's a twist because it just naturally, I knew that from their interactions. He, makes that mention of, I'm paying for everything. And she asks him exactly kind of how he wants her to act.
I guess I just looked over that bit, but that he's paying for everything. I didn't think anything of that.
Yeah, she literally asks him like, so do you want me to be like doting girlfriend or like super into it like you are, or
Yeah. I guess I could have, I maybe saw that as like, he's on his little autistic, I probably shouldn't say.
Oh God.
Oh, lingo these days. It makes you say things that are probably mean. He goes on his little hyperfixation rant about how this is the best thing ever. And I was like, okay, she's not into it, but she's trying, is more how I like took it.
If you were super into a hyperfixation rant and I went, so do you want me to be like super into it or just like,
Yeah, that'd be weird, but that's our relationship.
yeah, but most people that wouldn't be appropriate. That would be hurtful.
Either way, it's not spelled out till later, so I don't think it's that big of a crime that I didn't pick up on it right away. So yeah, they sit down, and that's when we kind of get a lay of the land. So at Hawthorn, they do basically
Everything.
like a 9-course dinner.
Yeah.
Everything is grown on the island. Everything is farmed on the island. Everything is from the island.
Yep.
So God, I wonder how much this is. I think they say in the movie, but I forgot.
I do think they say. You keep talking. I'm going to Google it.
So they sit down, and you like the presentation of the kitchen staff and is already cult-like. They're all like moving kind of like in sync, and it's like they all live there on the island. But I think one notable moment is when Tyler, because he can't help himself, goes over to the kitchen and starts asking a bunch of annoying questions. And then the guy who's asking the question goes, Tyler, can you please take your seat? Like, and he's like, oh, you know my name. Oh, walks out, and he's just like, wow, he knew my name. It's like, I noticed you didn't ask his. And he's like, oh, well, whatever. Like, I think it shows the mentality, of most of the people you hear. They don't think about the people making their food. They're just basically, to them, people who make their food, and that's all they're good for,
So they don't say how much it costs to like run the whole island, but they do say how much a ticket or what it costs to dine.
Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Which is $1,250 a head.
That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. But
no, me neither.
It's still not as bad as I thought it would be.
I'd go get McDonald's.
Yeah.
Personally.
Or even just like if I wanted fancy, go to like a nice steakhouse.
Is too fucking fancy for me. I'm sorry.
This is, cultish fancy.
Well, right. But like when you start deconstructing dishes is when I stop caring. I don't want to put together my Reuben for myself. Thank you very much. Just make the frickin' sandwich, dude. Just make it.
There's no Reuben deconstructed, and it makes me sad. I'm sure there's a Reuben deconstructed at some hoity-toity restaurant out there.
I work at a restaurant that sells Reubens, and there is a lady who orders her Reuben deconstructed every freaking time. And I'm like, you suck.
So, the first course is, oh boy, a mousse bouche. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. It is a small compressed melon and cucumber dish.
Oh, that's the thing that he said about the piping thing about.
Yes, it's a light, refreshing start, harmless, but sets the tone for an overly curated experience.
Yeah, and immediately,
Thank you, Google.
We appreciate you. Immediately, our guy who's obsessed with the food is like, whoa, this is so good. This is amazing. Anya Taylor-Joy is like, this looks scary, which would be me.
I'd be like, this is a disc with some little droplets in it.
I don't even like melon.
And I think, what is it? Powder, like milk?
Yeah. And they're like, the food critics are like,
milk snow.
yes. And the food critics are like, him and his obsession with snow. And she's like, I'm getting a hint of goat.
It's like,
Of goat.
he did not say which animal the milk was from.
I'm getting a hint of goat.
Getting the food critics are just as annoying as Tyler.
Oh my god, they're the worst. I actually hate them a little bit more than I hate Tyler. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I hate Tyler.
No, I can't. I just get used to. I think his stuff I get used to every time they
respect that lady probably does know what she's talking about.
Genuinely, I understand that she probably does know what she's talking about, but she is just saying straight bullshit this entire time.
And her sin is she has power to basically ruin restaurants with her reviews.
Yes. She's saying bullshit the entire time to intimidate the publicist, and the publicist is just agreeing
with
to
everything she says
to make himself look smart.
But yeah, so that course pretty much goes on without a hitch. And honestly, kind of so does the second course. This is where we get to actually see Slowick speak for the first time, and he introduces us with a big
"Yes, chef,"
which he does every time he's about to speak.
Well, they don't say "yes, chef" there; they just stop.
It's okay.
It's wrong.
The first course, the island, oysters with emulsion and frozen seawater presented on a rock. This looks gross,
dude. Yeah. First of all, what if you have a shellfish allergy? Because it's scallops.
Then you should not go to Hawthorn, because there are no substitutions at Hawthorn.
I'm sure if I gave him my allergies before everything, he would have prepared a dish that was different. Because I mean, he knows. That's why it's so upsetting. He knows who all the people are there.
If you went current you and you saved up a bunch of money to go, then maybe. But if you're one of the hoity-toity rich folk, you would be like, no, there are no substitutions at Hawthorn.
If I was a hoity-toity rich, if I was that rich, I think I still would be like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry, and just kind of
I'm gonna go to McDonald's,
pick around it. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so sorry. I literally can't eat it. I'll die. And it'll be like.
So this course is supposed to represent the island and the nature and the outside where things really matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's such pretentious bullshit.
This whole speech, you can tell too in the way he's giving it.
Care.
He does not give a shit. He's saying words that he knows impresses people, it's so very obvious. He's just waiting for them to all fall at his feet and be impressed by what he's saying. But he knows he's saying nothing.
He knows this isn't what food as an art form actually is.
Right.
But this is what he's supposed to do. This is what he's become, basically.
Yeah, it's the performative act.
And yeah, that one kind of goes off without a hitch too, honestly.
Yeah.
Then we get the second course. Sorry, that was the first course. The amuse bouche is just not counted as a course.
Yeah, it's like a appetizer.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
The second course is breadless bread plate. This is where the themes of the movie start to shine in nice and proud. It is a plate without bread, because bread is the food for the poor, and so basically he's like, you are not poor, you do not deserve the bread. You do not get bread tonight.
I would have been like, I used the last of my savings to be here. May I have bread?
Man.
I am common man. May I have bread? Please, sir, bread.
So it's just a plate with assorted little butters and dips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the food critic is like, oh yes, there's there's a something with this cracked bruget or something. I don't remember what it even was.
It was a separated emulsion, I think.
No, that was from the island course.
No.
With cracked emulsion.
Cracked emulsion.
It was the cracked emulsion. There was something wrong with it. I don't remember what was even wrong with it.
It's that it hadn't been it had separated.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't still mixed together.
It was separated, and she was making fun of it. And this is where I feel like everyone in the food service industry has done this to a customer before. The host / server / just front of house lady walks over and puts down a big bowl of it, like a massive, stupid sized bowl. And Slowick is just like, and I'm like, I know for a fact I've had someone go ask me for more ranch dressing, and then I passive aggressively give them a large amount of ranch dressing.
And when I started, oh God, I didn't even realize that.
Whatever.
We are unaffiliated with. This
was at a different establishment than the one currently on my chest. I didn't realize I was wearing this.
The thing is, before I worked in the food industry and stuff, I definitely wouldn't have even seen that as like a passive aggressive thing. I would have been like, oh my God, I needed that much ranch. Thank you so much. Like, thank you. When I said more ranch, I meant literally the entire tub. If you could give me the entire tub, I would appreciate it very much. Thank you.
That's why it's perfect, because you're not going to get in trouble. They're not going to get mad at you, but you can know in your head that it was passive aggressive.
Unfortunate. But I haven't pissed off that many servers in my lifetime. It's been mostly, yeah.
I will say that does not mean that's the reason I would give someone a large amount of something every time.
That's fair.
I also sometimes do it because I think it'll make them happy, because normally it does. But I did get the idea because one time when I was working at a restaurant, we had this lady call on a to-go order and say, you didn't give me enough of this sauce last time. So when I get here this time, I want to make sure we have that. And the person working takeaway gave them a big cup of it. And they called back and they were like, I've never been so insulted in my life. I just wanted a little extra. And you guys think I'm fat? And that's where I got the idea originally. I was like, oh, so I can subtly be mean to somebody by giving them extra ranch. That's the thing. It wasn't even to make them mad.
I think I'm fat.
She genuinely gave them that much extra, like hoping like it'd be a nice thing, like a nice gesture. And they called back and said, and started it with, I have never been so insulted in my entire life.
Oh.
That lady must have been having a bad day.
If someone called my place of work after I'd served them, like, they asked for like extra something, and I got them like 4 ounces of it instead of the regular 2 ounces we give them. Like, and for one thing, I would just get in trouble for giving them a 4 ounce and not charging it for it, charging them for it. But for another, if my boss came up to me and was like, this customer is mad because you gave them extra of this thing, I would be like, I really like having extra of that thing. So I thought that maybe they would want the bigger size, because I always want the bigger size.
You'd think so. The third course, memory. This is where things start to get real, but not like super real, just real enough. Memory is taco night, because when Chef Slowick was a kid, he used to have Taco Tuesday. And I always love these moments where you get a glimpse of him being happy about something.
Taco Tuesday!
And then it twists because he's like, and it's, one Taco Tuesday. my mom started getting strangled by my drunk dad, and then my mom stabbed him in the thigh with scissors.
And everybody in the room acts like this is a perfectly normal thing for him to be just telling everybody.
I think it probably was. I mean, I'm saying, like, I think his normal dinner services were similar to this, and that he would tell stories of his upbringing and, like, tie in the meals.
Okay, so violent stories of his upbringing?
Maybe. I'm just saying, I think this is a pretty weird place already anyway. I do like the detail that the chicken al pastor for the tacos has each chunk has a scissor stabbed into it.
Stabbed into it.
But this time they have images laser engraved into the tortillas.
So this is the coolest, stupidest thing ever.
Yep, this is when we get a glimpse into everyone's transgressions, pretty much. We'll start with Tyler. One of the rules of the establishment was not to take pictures of the food for some pretentious reason. So laser engraved on his tortillas is a bunch of pictures of him taking pictures of the food. That's whatever. At the elderly couple's table, we have pictures. At first it starts with just like memories.
Well, first
like
it
normal
starts
pictures.
with the first one says happy anniversary.
Oh yes, it does.
It's their anniversary. By the way.
And then there's a picture of the man with a young lady who apparently the old woman has been recognizing Margot and saying she looks just like our daughter. And the old man's like, oh, no, we don't know her. We don't know her.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know that. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Jesus. The food critic has a bunch of laser engraved photos of restaurants that she has played a part in shutting down through her bad reviews. I'll let you recover. And the tech...
I think I just had an outburst. I'm so sorry.
You're okay. The actor just has the cover of a bad movie he was in recently, Calling Dr. Sunshine, I think.
I think actually, like, he has his... going back to when you
People
were saying...
who didn't deserve it.
Like, he has his own personal transgressions, like...
Of just being a douche.
Yeah, but... That guy didn't deserve to be there.
We'll get there for why
his reasonings was stupid.
And the tech bros have basically laser imprints of fraudulent transactions that they have made. Money laundering.
That's the coolest part.
Yep.
Personally.
And then they call the server over, the hostess.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just call her the hostess because I feel like that's more of what she was doing.
Yeah.
It says, what is this? And she just goes, it's a tortilla.
Tortilla deliciosa.
It's like, no, what is this? It's a tortilla. with all of your fraudulent transactions laser engraved on it. And then
enjoy.
He's like, I'm going to shut you down by the morning. And she just goes, that won't be necessary.
Which, when you're first watching the movie, like, even me knowing what was going to happen, I still didn't question it for some reason. Like, I still didn't. That felt, and I it might be because I'm like kind of in the service industry, and that's just like I feel, because I've never worked fine dining before, but I feel that's just like something, a phrase that you say when you don't want to respond. You know what I mean? Like, that won't be necessary, and then just walk away. Like,
but no, it has a different meaning.
Nope.
But then it gets kind of intense here when she just leans down and she goes, no, this was during the bread. Oh, I missed this. During the bread.
Oh, she did that.
Guys were asking for more bread, and she was like, or for asking for bread in general. And she said, I think, Oh
I can't
man.
remember what exactly it was because it was kind of badass.
It went hard. I remember the second half, not the first half. I think it said like you will eat more than you.
Oh, you will
eat less than you desire, and more
than you deserve.
And it's like, oh.
Which, can I be real quick? That sounds like a story prompt. Like that sounds like when because I used to do a lot of random creative writing stuff. I had like a book of different story prompts and stuff, and sometimes literally like you'll get a prompt that's just write a story that goes along with this, and I could imagine someone being like, hey, I like that phrase, what story can I make around it? And this could be the story you make around it. Not what I'm saying happened here, but it does sound like a story prompt. You'll eat less than you desire, but more than you deserve.
That's your homework. Write a story, including that. And it
cannot be the plot of the menu. That's cheating, guys.
Okay.
Come on.
So I think that ties us nicely into the fourth course, the mess. So sous chef Jeremy, who was the chef who Tyler didn't bother to learn the name of earlier, is brought forward. He's standing on top of a white like cloth with a bunch of herbs.
Yeah.
And then Chef Slowick just starts absolutely cooking his shit. He's like, Jeremy, he's great. He's really great, but he'll never be brilliant. He'll never be me. He wants to be me. He's jealous of me. But you'll never be me, Jeremy, will you? And he's just like, no, chef. Like, which, granted, given what's about to happen, he's right. He basically says, Jeremy, this next dish is made by Jeremy, and it's called The Mess. And then Jeremy fucking shoots himself.
He blows his brains out.
And this is the moment where it's like, okay, people are gonna die.
You know, in like kind of like psychological / like cabin fever type horror movies where there's that moment where it feels like the panic button just got hit.
This is the
panic button. And everyone goes and runs around like fucking nuts. They don't do enough of it, to be honest. Tyler and the critics. The critics.
Because she's convinced, oh, he's doing this for me.
It's a show
he's
for me. He's
trying to get this. He's trying to get to me with this. And like the magazine guy looks at the actor and goes, great acting.
Great acting. The fuck, lady? Like, I guess it could be a form of like rationalizing what's going on. But there's also just the sense
a refusal to believe that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
You know?
But still, it's like, oh my God, how much above everyone else do you think you are?
By the way, the dish is pressure cooked beef with bone marrow and vegetables.
And we
represents the artistic perfection at the cost of one's soul. As in, literally, Jeremy died for this dish.
Yeah. And the other thing is, the descriptions of the dish and like a food channel display sort of thing appears every time they introduce a dish, and this one had it's a bone marrow whatever, and then it just says R.I.P. Jeremy.
Yes, R.I.P. Jeremy.
R.I.P. Jeremy. You a real one, bro.
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is where it gets real. But, they do have what is next is called the intermezzo, which basically is, let's go outside. Let's take a breath.
Recess!
There's some stuff that happens before this, like, we got to get out of here, guys. Like, that kind of dialogue.
Yeah.
It tries to break the window with a chair. It doesn't work. Yeah, that happens first
Okay. Is it
before
still?
they go outside.
Yeah, because it's still light out. Yeah.
But by the time that basically they're like, the Chef Slowick's like, we're gonna play a fun game, don't worry. But first, sous chef, I don't have her name. There's another sous chef, and it's like this is her dish, and she's like, a couple years ago, Chef Slowick tried to fuck me. I said no, and then he tried again like a week later, and I said no. And then he didn't talk or look at me for 8 months. But he can do that because he's in charge. And then she like stabbed him in the thigh. And then he gave her a big hug for it. There is a cult, basically.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
And so the next dish is called Man's Folly. The men all get they all get a chance to try to escape. All the women have to stay behind. So the women get to actually eat the dish called Man's Folly, while the dudes try to escape. I love how all the dudes run. See, this is why I say this is definitely partially a comedy, because that moment where he's like, you will all have a 45-second head start, and then one of the tech bros just immediately runs, and then he just goes, okay. So yeah, they all go and hide, and they're all found one by one. But meanwhile, like, the ladies are trying to convince the sous chef to let them go. Basically, like say, like the critic's like, "Hey, I can get you your own restaurant." Catherine, sous chef Catherine, is like, "Hey, I can get you your own restaurant. This is amazing." And they're all pretending to like actually still care about what they're eating. It's kind of funny the way like some of them who don't know food is like, yeah, it's really, I can really feel the.
So what happens is the critic starts actually kind of like saying something real about her dish, and she says that would have really meant something to me a long time ago.
And
then she just starts crying, and so they do the girl thing where you're like, oh God, someone's crying. Everything's good. You're great, girl. Like, have you ever seen a drunk girl crying at the bar?
Yeah, you. You walked right into that one.
Yeah, I totally did. Have you ever seen all the other girls all the other drunk girls start gathering around and like just saying bullshit where they're just like, no, girl, it's so fine. Don't cry. Yeah. Oh my God, don't cry. It's fine. You're so pretty.
Faker because they're just trying not to.
Yeah.
But I love it how like it's like when she's saying, "Oh, I can get you your own restaurant," she's like, "Oh, that would be really great." And it's like, but we'd have to just work out the whole dying thing. She was like, "Oh, everyone dying at the end was my idea."
And she's so excited about it.
I was so proud of it.
The thing that really sells this movie is these actors just playing these so like just like regular conversation. Like her being like, "Oh, that was my idea. Don't you think it was like so cool and nifty and like, aren't I so smart?" Like I was
really excited about it.
I was really excited about it. Like just real. It's very genuine.
Just the critic, not the critic. Was it the critic or the old lady?
The critic. More wine, everybody. No, the old lady chugs her glass, but the critic then turns, grabs another bottle of wine and goes, "More wine, everybody."
Yeah.
They all just sort of.
I feel like they're all kind of starting to just accept their fate a little bit here because all the guys get caught. Of course, Tyler's like, "What'd you guys get? And
he was hanging out in the window.
He's trying to get their scraps. Like,
yeah.
I do love that the last man found, he's hiding in a chicken coop, and then just a hand reaches in with I don't know what the dessert was. And he's just
it was a like chocolate egg with some sort of like.
Well, he says it's because the way the worker says the whole name so like normal.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'll make it up. This is not what it was. A chocolate covered egg with cream and vanilla ice cream for the last contestant for the last guest found. he just
takes it and just starts eating it in the chicken coop.
But so they all
You wanna know a theory I have here with this guy?
What?
That Stanley Tucci was supposed to play him.
Maybe.
Tell me that man does not give Stanley Tucci.
I don't know his face by name.
You don't know who Stanley Tucci is?
I probably do.
Caesar, the announcer from the Hunger Games.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, from Devil Wears Prada.
Okay, I know him.
I figured you wouldn't know him from Devil Wears Prada. He's in so many things. But I don't know. I wanted Stanley Tucci right here for some reason. That's what my brain said. My brain said that is Stanley Tucci, and then it went, no, that is not Stanley Tucci, Ashton. That is not Stanley Tucci. I'm probably butchering his last name too, so I'm sorry, Stanley.
Oh, sorry. This list I had of the courses messed up our order. We did miss a course.
We did?
Yeah. Fallen Angel. It's a charred chicken dish inspired by Slowick's abusive past with his mother. That's where they kill the CEO. The dish isn't really important.
Is that not the chicken? That's not the tacos?
No. Tacos happened before the mess even happened.
Yeah. Okay.
He kills his boss by drowning him in the river.
On a crane.
Not the river, in the ocean.
It's giving when they tried to kill the president in Iron Man 3. Sorry. Random poll, Ashton. Sorry.
But this is when, throughout all this, Slowick has been sniffing out Margot and is basically like, you're not supposed to be here. You're one of us. And he uses more like pretentious language. He's like, you're not a taker. You're a giver. Do you want to? It's like, oh, so I can live?
Pause.
What?
Do you smell burnt toast?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything okay up there?
I wasn't saying I thought fire. I was just making sure I wasn't having any stroke.
No, I know. It hit me too, and it made me lightheaded.
Yeah. He's still moving around up there.
Okay.
I'm sure he would yell fire if there were fire.
They were good.
It is getting worse though. He might be burning something actively right now.
I'm sure it's fine.
I think
anyway,
just open the oven.
Anyway, Slowick's basically like sensing out that she doesn't really belong along the rest of the group. So he's trying to recruit her to be to his side, and then she's like, "Oh, so I can live?" It's like, "Well, no, we're all gonna die tonight. But do you want to die like over here instead?" Like,
not a phony like the rest of these motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Essentially.
And once they're all kind of seated again,
well, this conversation I do want to touch on a little bit, because again, this is another place where him being so genuine, it's so almost alarming.
Yeah, this is the one in the office, right?
Yeah,
I got you. I was getting there.
Oh, we haven't been there yet.
I was kind of wrapping it all.
Oh, never mind. I will let you speak.
But it's fine. Where I was headed there anyway. There's another conversation where they're in the office.
Yes, he pulls her into the office and is like, "Hey, like, I know you don't belong here. I can tell a service industry worker."
Yeah.
From a mile away. Like, I can tell what you do. And he says that he noticed the regular guy has, she's been staring at him, and she kind of goes into detail into what he says. A seasoned professional like you wouldn't get rattled easily. So what happened?
And what happened is really gross. She's like, "Okay, you want to know?" He made me sit there and agree with everything he said. Well, he jerked off. I'll just say it. I was trying to find a way to dodge it, but no. And then he wanted me to basically pretend to be his daughter.
Yeah. Gross.
Ew.
And then he goes, I don't need the details. Sir, you just asked for them.
It's okay. That guy got his finger cut off.
Yeah. And he goes, but I understand like a bad customer, you know, sort of thing. And he like kind of randomly has like a heart to heart with her that's really freaking genuine. And it's spooky.
It's spooky because I think it just shows you that Slowick is clearly just a broken human.
Yes.
He is someone who has had the thing he loves get destroyed in his own psyche, and that's cooking and food. Because as we find out later, there is no love in the food at all. It's obsession. And I just kind of like this tug and like the best parts of this movie is Slowick and Margot like talking, just they're back and forth. Because the next step that Slowick tries to take with Margot is basically having her just basically giving her something to do, saying, oh no, this happens later. Sorry.
Never mind.
He exposes Tyler first.
Yes.
Because he goes up to Tyler and he's like, what are you doing here? You're different than everybody else. He's like, what did we talk about before you ever, arrived on the island? And he's like, oh, we talked about the menu and, the and food. And it's like, well, what did we talk about? It's like that everyone was going to die. And she launches.
She literally launches across the table.
So he brought her because they don't allow one-tops at this establishment. He knew he was getting her killed because he just wanted to go that bad. That's why he's the worst.
Yeah.
That's why he's the worst one in this whole.
That's
in my
true.
opinion.
That is why he's the worst.
So Slowick gets him up, is like, oh, Tyler, you are such a genius. I know you know so much about food. He puts a jacket on him, writes his name on it.
Yeah.
Cook. Cook.
He really emphasizes
like, but here, I don't know if it's like, you know everything. Cook something. And like, so the whole staff just crowds around Tyler, who's just like the whole time. And he's like,
and this is where,
what do you need? What do you want? What do you need to make whatever you're going to make? And he's just like, butter. Like,
shallots and butter.
Shallots and butter. Get him shallots and butter.
He's like, what an invention. Something no one's ever heard of before. And I'm like, this is where we get to channel Gordon. Okay. This was his Gordon moment. He does call
someone a donkey in this movie.
Yeah, he does. This is his moment to be like, oh, what a great idea. Shallots and butter. Like, no one's ever heard of that before.
And then, so he's cooking. He's obviously not doing a good job. He's like, oh, what protein? Lamb. It's just like, one, that sounds like a difficult one to pick.
Right?
Because you got to do lamb like the right way. But then he's just throwing veggies in a skillet and just throws the lamb in there. And
which I don't think is how you should cook lamb, right? Don't you bake lamb?
No, you can grill lamb.
Oh, you can grill lamb?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't eat lamb.
It's just meat. You could prepare it any way you prepare any meat.
It's fair.
And it is called Tyler's Bullshit. Let me find what exactly it's described as because it's really funny.
I think it was like, it was something like undercooked lamb chop with like limp veggies or something and shallots and butter. Like, I don't know. The wording is more funny than that. Oh, goodness. I apologize. I worked
Tyler's
this
bullshit.
morning.
Undercooked lamb, inedible shallot leek butter sauce, utter lack of cohesion.
Yeah. It's so good.
And it's funny because when Slowick takes a bite, he kind of pretends like, oh, wow.
Wow.
It's pretty bad.
The thing is, it would almost be better if he said awful. Like for Tyler. The fact that he just says bad, which is like
he did say it's quite bad.
It's quite bad.
I would say is worse than just saying it's bad.
Like I feel like the description of bad also implies it implies more like less than mediocre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it what I mean is bad feels more like on a scale that starts at mediocre, I guess. You know what I mean? You can be good or you can be bad on the mediocre scale. Or it could be great or awful on the professional scale. You know what I mean? So the fact that he said bad is just the worst.
But then whatever he said into his ear must have been much worse than just saying his food is bad.
I'm telling you,
it was probably just instructions.
Because the thing is, we were like, what did he say to him here? What did he say? And James is like, there's a rope in my office. You were a terrible chef. Now you know what to do. Thank you. Like something like that. Yep. And I was like, no, he just told him, please return your jacket. I think that's what he says.
Either it went too long he was speaking for too long.
Pretty short.
It was like
I still think
either way,
please return your jacket.
He then just kind of decides Margot's working there now because he just walks over and goes, "There's a barrel we need for the last dish. Can you please go to the smokehouse and retrieve it?" And she's like, "Okay." And that's when we see Tyler is now hanging from the ceiling in Slowick's office.
Yep.
But she's taken back for like a second, but then she's just like, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, well, that's what he wished upon me, so we'll just move on.
Yep. So she gets in a fight with the hostess because she breaks into Slowick's house.
And kills her.
And she kills her.
Unfortunate. I needed more of her really funny bullshit.
Yeah.
just tortillas. Tortillas deliciosas.
This lady is very burnt in the delusion because she's killing her because she's scared Margot's going to replace her.
You're all dying tonight.
I don't think Margot could train on hosting that fast.
Yeah. Especially in whatever weird training program you guys went through. Like, I feel like there's a long period of indoctrination that must take place. And, unlike most restaurants, I feel like that indoctrination has to happen immediately instead of later and while you're working there.
But there's a radio in there.
Yeah.
No, she goes in. She finds a secret room.
Yeah, she finds the secret door and goes in.
And we see pictures of him getting awards and opening his restaurant, Hawthorn. But then she notices those things are just haphazardly put on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing on his desk in this room is his Employee of the Month photo from when he was working at a burger joint.
Yeah, it was happy hamburgers.
Looks very happy. Kind of scary for some reason.
But happy.
But very happy.
Yeah.
I think it's just because they tried to make a fake young Ray Fiennes and it kind of just
looked weird. But it focuses on this for a good minute and you're like, oh, this is the realization of the entire movie. And then she goes, ooh, a radio. And you're like, oh,
yep.
Never mind, not important.
And so she obviously uses the radio. And I love this bit. The Coast Guard comes in.
It's such a
and you're thinking, oh wow, so something's gonna happen here. But they're
right.
like, But like the staff all start cleaning up all the guests and everything around, trying to make it look normal again. And
you're like, oh shit, they had a plan for this?
And Slowick's like, now, before he comes in, I want you all to think, do you want to be responsible for the death of an innocent man? Think about that. And then the Coast Guard guy, he comes in and he's like, I got a call about a disturbance. It's like, oh, this is just, our service, no one has radios here.
We don't serve radios at this restaurant.
And like, he recognizes the actor. And Slowick's like, oh, do you want his autograph? And of course the actor writes, help us on there. And he turns around, he whips out a gun. He's like, starts like just basically flagging everybody with it. Like, I need to figure out what's going on. Put your hands up.
Right.
He gets Slowick to get on his knees. They're all cheering because they think they're alive. And then he just starts slowly pointing the gun towards Margot. And they're like,
Margot's like, what the fuck?
And then he puts it down and lights a candle because it was a lighter. And the thing I love about this is I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. This was a real not like real, but like in the film, this was an actual Coast Guard guy that they paid off, basically.
Oh, in the film?
Yes. He's supposed to be patrolling out there, like, because the Coast Guard is like just in the area. He was actually part of the Coast Guard.
But they take off all of his stuff and he goes into the kitchen.
No, he left.
No,
Did I miss that?
They take off all of his Coast Guard clothes and he goes.
I thought he actually had a Coast Guard boat.
There was an actual Coast Guard boat. So
they probably killed the actual Coast Guard already.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Or paid them off to like
the kitchen. I just assumed, okay, he was in on it. Like this guy.
Yeah. No, he goes into the kitchen. They take off all his Coast Guard stuff and he goes into the kitchen.
Oh.
They help him take it off.
My bad. Look at me and my comprehension. Isn't it great?
I notice the small things and forget the big ones.
Yeah, he was part of the staff. Whoopsie.
Yeah.
But then we get probably the best scene in the movie because Margot has been first yelled at by Chef Slowick. Basically, he just calls her an eater and says, you belong with them.
Mm.
But then Margot you see her get a realization on her face.
Which I love Anya Taylor-Joy because her face, her facial reactions are always so good.
Yeah.
They're subtle. And I think maybe it's because of how big her eyes are that you can always tell when there's a thought.
Yeah.
Like a little movement. But she just kind of like stares and her eyes get a little bit bigger and you're like, oh, she's got an idea, that clever girl.
And she stands up and she's like, she's like, Chef Slowick, I did not enjoy my food. And I just love how he's just like, what did you say? He probably hasn't heard this in years, like to his face. She's like, I did not enjoy the food.
And I would like to send it back.
And he's like, huh? But he basically comes out, well, what did you not like about it? And she basically just kind of roasts the complete idea of this type of food. And she's like, everything you have brought out has been some bullshit thought experiment that unless you can think about philosophy, blah, 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 you can't it's not food, basically is the message.
Yeah. And she just says, it's,
you cook with no love.
You cook with no love.
Dagger.
Even your hot dishes are cold.
And he's like,
damn, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. That goes hard. And he's just like, and the worst part, I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
And he just kind of goes, well, what would you like? I want a cheeseburger, not some deconstructed bullshit version of a cheeseburger, a real cheeseburger. And the way that Ralph Fiennes pulls off this subtle, like his face lights up. His face barely moves, but it completely
so good.
Lights up.
It's so good.
He's just like, you can do a cheeseburger.
You can do a cheeseburger. It lights
a real one.
well, it feels it. I would say less that to me it looked like it lit up. It felt like he was challenged. So he kind of like went into, I don't know if lights up is the right word for this
I think
exact
he was
moment.
excited to make a cheeseburger.
I think he saw a challenge and he was going for it, and then he was making the cheeseburger. And when he was making the cheeseburger, that's when he realized.
Yeah, because the line he says, he's like, I will make it taste like it's the first cheeseburger you've ever had.
Yeah.
The best one. The one that your mom and dad couldn't afford to buy, but bought anyway.
Yeah.
And I love it. She's like, how much will that run me? $9.95. Just like, it's a burger. And
she said, no, she says, how much will that set me back? And he says $9.95. And she goes, does that include fries? And he goes, crinkle cut.
On?
Yeah. Are the fryers still on? Yes, chef. Crinkle cut or Julie?
Fancy fries.
Julianne? Something like that?
Julian.
Something like that.
I think it's fancy literal French fries.
Yeah,
like little frites,
like fresh cut, probably.
Yes.
More like. But I was like,
it is unbelievable to me that they have crinkle cut fries here.
Like frozen, because they have to be frozen crinkle cut fries.
Because they look like frozen crinkle cut fries.
Maybe he orders frozen crinkle cut fries.
He just wants to eat them.
Yeah.
I bet they have a kids menu.
Yeah, they gotta, right?
No.
Oh,
they don't gotta.
Who is spending $1,200 to take their child to this restaurant?
They're probably not kids allowed.
No, he probably got them for himself. He has his own secret stash of frozen crinkle cut French fries that he dipped into for this. Well, it doesn't matter. He's dying tonight.
But yeah, I would still argue you see him get excited at the idea of making a cheeseburger.
I feel
it's mentioned.
I just feel like from my take of it, it felt more like he was taking a challenge. And I think that's why he said it's going to taste like the best cheeseburger you ever had, like the first one you ever had. And then he has to throw the insult that
my God, it looks so delicious as he's making it.
It looks so good.
And he's like, and he is so happy to be making it.
He starts making it, and his face, he just starts loving food again.
And
it's sad.
Serves the food. She takes one bite. It's clearly delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And she just says, yes, how is it? It's really good. But I'm sorry, I think my eyes were bigger than my stomach. Can I take this to go?
What I like best about this is he's so excited to serve it to her. Like, you can tell. He's not trying to hide any of it. He's so excited to serve it to her. He stands there and watches her take her first bite and watches her enjoy it. And when she says, it's very good, but I think my eyes were bigger than my stomach, his face just falls. Like, he's like, oh my God, I'm not even good at making a simple cheeseburger anymore.
I don't think so.
His face falls. Did you miss it?
Disappointed.
Did you miss his face totally falling like that?
I think it's more him struggling with what he's about to do because her saying, can I take it to go, is him thinking about he's gonna let her go.
See, I think the way this man compartmentalizes things, he is experiencing this moment separate from all the other moments. He is experiencing the moment of making the cheeseburger and giving it to this customer separate from everything else that's going on.
And what I'm thinking is, I agree with you, but I think this is the moment where he comes back to like the actual moment.
Well, because no, I'm talking about before she says, I'm going to take it to go. His face falls right when she says, but I think my eyes were too big. Were bigger than my stomach, because there's a pause there.
Yeah.
And his face falls. He's upset because he thinks he just failed at making a cheeseburger, okay, the one thing he loves to make.
I was thinking like, never mind.
And then when she says, but can I take it to go? he lights right back up again because she really did like it. She really does want to eat it.
And he's just like,
and it really was good.
One moment, please. They don't have to-go boxes here. So he just comes back with a bag and some,
No, he's got a fancy to-go box. He's got one of those fancy
there was a
to-go
box. My mistake.
Yeah, it's still a restaurant.
I remember there being. I'm thinking of something else where there was like a no boxes something.
No, there's a to-go box. It's just one of those fancy cardboard ones.
And she just gets up. She leaves. She takes one last look, and this is why I always feel bad for this lady. The old lady. She goes.
No, it's very obvious. I think not only just what this old lady does, but you look at all the faces of the women in the room. I don't even think and it might just be from my perspective. I really didn't look at the men in the room, to be honest. But you look at the faces of all the women in the room, and they're all like, all of their eyes are screaming, "Just go, just leave."
Yeah,
just leave.
But the old woman specifically goes,
"Go, get out." Because I think
going back a little bit to the actor, because he goes through and he starts kind of telling people why they're there, and like the actor's like, "Well, what did I do?" Basically, and he's like, "I watched your movie on my one day off, and it was bad, and it ruined that day." That's it.
Yeah, essentially,
But the message he was saying was basically like his message. He's like, I saw an artist who has no respect left for his craft.
And you get that from him. I was doing this little exercise throughout watching this film that James is going to kill me for, because I was being really annoying about it, where I was trying to match people up with the 7 deadly sins. There's not 7 groups of people, so it doesn't really work. But this would be like the sloth. He's given up.
Yeah.
He's tired. He's quit, essentially.
The thing with the 7 deadly sins is like, yes, you can do that in stories, but like everyone does every deadly sin to a degree. They're not just guilty of one, Well,
right, but you use it as a literary device to create characters that specifically give off a specific trait. When you're telling a story, you can't give all, especially a short story. That's why it's used so much in short stories. You can't give all angles of a person, so you just choose one to pretty much be your angle, and that's why it gets used so often, because it's a really good way to show off the different kinds of ways that people can be bad, while also not having to make somebody like a really well-rounded character, but you can showcase the different ways that people can be bad.
Right. Like I said, I don't think it's not useful. I just like, I think it just comes from like growing up. I just remember so many people, I'd be watching a movie and they go, "Oh, I think that they represent the 7 deadly sins." It happens so often in my life for some reason. So now I'm just at the point where I'm like, every time it happens, I'm like, if that makes sense.
I just thought it might work here. That's all. Like, I don't do it to every movie.
Not you. I was saying it's just a weird occurrence in my life that I've had several movies I've watched with people and they always go,
"What movies?"
Hey, I don't know. I tune it out.
Okay.
I feel like every movie. But so then we get to the final course, which is dessert, and it is s'mores. I believe he calls it one of the most offensive assaults on the palate ever conceived.
And the worst part of that is that the freaking food critic woman is like shaking her head in agreement. Like, she's like, "Oh, God, he's gonna kill me, but he's not fucking wrong."
So all the guests they get marshmallow ponchos.
Oh no! Before this, before dessert is served, he asks everybody to pay.
I do love that.
And the tech bros all throw a card in, and you get this kind of nice moment between the actor and his assistant, where he pays for the food. and the wife and the regulars have a little.
It's not that nice because he just says, "I told you you weren't leaving."
Yeah, but it's kind of like a joking, like we're in this together sort of thing. And the regulars have a uncomfortable moment because they're obviously not having a good time with any of this. And the critic people, the guy goes, "Oh no, this is on the magazine,"
and throws the card on the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all get s'mores like ponchos and chocolate hats.
Which it's so funny because I feel like the dishes become even more ridiculous throughout the movie. This is the most ridiculous bullshit ever. Willy Wonka ass. Like,
and there's the, I guess, flammable graham cracker crust that's been spread throughout the entire.
They also put gasoline on the floor.
They did. Now I think about it.
They also put gasoline on the floor, James. That's what caught fire.
But Slowick, he showed off his chef hands earlier. He grabs a coal, it's just right out of the fire.
You even see one of the like chefs back there go,
"Ooh,"
like
as if he's not about to burn alive,
right?
And he walks in. He says a big pretentious speech about the flame being purifying or something.
Yeah, and it still all sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, and he sets the fire. A lot of people in this room, I know it's supposed to be kind of artistic. This is not how people react to getting set ablaze.
No.
They are all just sitting still going, "Ugh." No, they'd be flailing around
and screaming. Yeah.
Like, it's not a matter of, "I've accepted my fate, therefore I will burn without screaming." It is, "Ow, all of my nerves are on fire and I can't control my flailing."
Yeah.
Like,
and they put these little chocolate hats on them so the
melting.
chocolate helps they're melting, and it reminds me of that scene from the Willy Wonka movie in, like, what was that, 2007 with Johnny Depp? With that opening, the Willy Wonka animatronics that start melting.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka.
It scared me. Meanwhile, Margot's escaping on a boat, eating her cheeseburger, watching the place burn. And then there's a really goofy sound effect that ends the movie.
Yeah. And I was like, this doesn't fit here, but that's okay.
That's the menu. It's a very solid film. It does definitely have a lot to say. Obviously,
yeah,
there's a lot being said about class division.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main theme for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot being said about kind of the commodification of art, mm-hmm. I would say. And food is an interesting choice to show that message.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, food is a commodity
mm-hmm. rather
than a, it's been turned into one, even though it's a thing we all need to, like, survive.
Yeah.
And like, I think one line that Slowick has is he's like, "You eat my art and it turns into shit in your gut."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
damn.
Whoa.
That was aggressive.
And that, so yeah, the movie has a lot to say. I'd say it does a great job of taking, I would say, like, almost a neutral lens to it. Because a lot of times in a lot of movies about class divide, it's very much like rich people evil, proletariat good. And this movie kind of just zooms out and just lets you watch the struggle unfold, because you understand why, like, Slowick and his little chef cult would want to do this, and you understand their motivation. But then you also have to look at the rich people as, like, humans,
right?
Because they're not just cartoonish, like, caricatures of, like, an evil rich person.
I would argue they start out that way.
They do, but as the movie goes, it surprises you in how, like, it doesn't just meet like it doesn't. They don't keep the facade up.
Yes.
They're not the entire time like going, oh, you're all trash.
Yeah.
You know, you all lick my boot.
Yeah.
Like for my money. Like
Right.
they try to appeal to humanity because they are people.
Yeah.
And I've found that really interesting because I feel like it's way too tempting to just, because it's hard to tell. Honestly, it's hard to say that this movie takes a side. I think it definitely does, but it does a much better job at kind of, like I said, having a zoomed out look at class divide as a concept.
And I think as well, it does the class divide thing, but it doesn't say, well, this person is a, multi-billionaire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's different.
They're a class divide, and this is the higher class, maybe not exactly the 1%, maybe almost the 1%. And this is the lower class of, the poor class or the middle class.
Yeah, because like I said,
the working class.
I would say that these are upper class people.
Yes.
Definitely rich. Definitely maybe in the 1%.
Maybe.
But they're not.
I wouldn't say all of them
They're
are.
not the founders of corporations. We see the CEO drown and he barely gets any screen time.
Yeah.
This is definitely more about the more typical class divide between citizens.
Between people
these are more powerful and
meet.
more important. I can't believe I just said that. That's not what I meant to say. More powerful and more influential people in society. But they're still, I would say, it seems, except maybe the actor, locally successful.
Yeah.
In terms of their they're all millionaires likely, but they're not the tippity top.
Maybe.
I would say so. Maybe not Tyler, and maybe not I guess the publicist, because the critic probably gets a lot of money. Yeah. Considering the places she critiques.
That's true. I don't know.
But that's
they're
kind
not
of my
like
takeaway.
they're not that 1% that's unreachable that you can't understand at all.
Because like they definitely, I would say all the guests definitely represent like different types of entitlement and problems that and I would say different blind spots that people in the upper class have, where they like, a lot of them don't realize how privileged they are to be there. And that sort of looking down on the worker. Because like, I think it's illustrated right at the beginning when Tyler goes and he's amazed that guy knew his name. And Margot, who's the only one who's actually not in the upper class, says, I noticed you didn't ask his name.
Right.
And he's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's that disregard.
Yeah.
But I think this movie does a good job. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time, of showing that zoomed out view of class divide and just kind of showing what it looks like at its most extreme. And that's what I have to say about that. Anything else you have to say about the menu?
Very nice. Like, has lot say. Brain no worky. I work in restaurant. It's cathartic.
Yeah, unfortunately that's all the time we have here today. Please, if you will, go to JumperScape.com. You can check out all kinds of cool stuff we got going on over there. You can join our Discord through there. You can find our shop. Also, Glitch Energy, GLYTCH.com. Use Connor141 at checkout. 10% off your order. CONNOR141 at checkout. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week on Room 237.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening, stranger. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/JumperScape or join the community at discord.gg/JumperScape. We thank you for your listenership and hope you enjoyed.